Mr. Poul Nielsen, the Minister for Development Cooperation, has planned an official trip to India for 10 days starting on the 24th of November. Along with 4 of the delegates, his wife will also be accompanying him. Mr. Poul Nielsen, born in 1943, graduated with a degree in political science from Aarhus University in 1972. Since, he has been an active member of government through involvement in various sectors such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Since 1944 till date, he holds a position as Minister for Development Cooperation.
And welcome to India Vision. With us today we have His Excellency, the Minister of Development, Mr. Poul Nielsen. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, you are planning a trip to India shortly, on the 24th of November actually. Is this your first visit to India?
Effectively, yes. I was simply in transit in 1977 when I went to Bangladesh as a head of section in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs looking at NGO projects. So this will be my first real visit to India.
What is the purpose of this trip?
Well, India is fortunately one of our 20 partner countries where we have long-term development cooperation. And I'm trying to visit each one of these 20 bilateral partners during this tenure in office. So in that sense it's routine, simply getting to know your country and seeing with my own eyes what we do or some of what we do together in your country. That's the real purpose.
What is the size and scope of Danida projects in India?
Well, it's the level is now 185 million Danish kroner, and in a couple of years it will reach a plateau of 200 million Danish kroner annually. The scope is quite broad. It reflects a long period of time where we have been spreading out on many different types of activities, many sectors, and also a geographical spread which is quite big. This is one of the problems we have to face, because in order to increase the impact and efficiency to both sides in this, we need to concentrate on fewer sectors and also geographically to concentrate, simply to get more value for money.
You say Danida is active in some projects. Could you mention some of these projects?
Well, we have been working in agriculture, health sector, water and sanitation, education, in especially concerning educating people working in industry. We have tool centers where we have developed skilled labor. We, as I said, need to find out in a new strategy for the activity in India, together with the government of India, to concentrate and to, well, this is simply the way we work, and we have fine experiences in all the other countries of doing this.
During your trip you'll be visiting New Delhi. Are there any other cities that you'll be visiting as well?
Yes, Madras is the other main. In Tamil Nadu I will be, like in Delhi, I'll be discussing with the government on what we do. Also in New Delhi with the government, of course, I will be discussing general political issues and our relation in general, and the continuation after having reached a decision that we will continue in this way in India. We will be visiting also Pondicherry and Tranquebar. it's very difficult to plan a visit like this, because even if we are using 10 days in India, it's such a big place that if I should have a chance of understanding anything of what I see, I have to accept leaving out most of your country.
Do you feel that 10 days is enough for such a trip?
I know it isn't, but right after I return, I will have to go to Singapore to head the Danish delegation at the World Trade Organization. So, I mean, it's impossible to spend more time than that.
On this trip, will there be any businessmen accompanying you?
No, this is not planned. This is a development cooperation visit, really to reconfirm our long-term presence in India.
You said that you'd be meeting the government in New Delhi. Are there any other companies or organizations that you'd also be interested in forming a cooperation with?
Well, we have a well-functioning, broad-based relationship already. So one of the, in business terms, one of the points I'll be concentrating on is to see some of the activities that have grown out of the private sector program in India. And in fact, for instance, the Vestas wind power wind turbine production facility in Madras is a place I have been looking forward to see very much, because I was in fact member of the board of directors of Vestas when it was decided to establish this joint venture production in India. So that place is something I've always liked to see.
You mentioned windmills as a part of the Danida project. I realize that you have also been the Minister of Energy.
Yes.
Would you like to expand on some of the projects that you did there?
Well, the development of wind power has been a major feature of Danish energy policy, and we are well positioned globally now as the main producer of wind power. In India, this has meant a breakthrough for renewable energy, professionalizing and lifting it into a position of reality. The trade relationship has grown tremendously. We are supporting this by a mixed credit facility, which actually stimulates and improves the economy of buying this equipment in Denmark. And we certainly also have stimulated the establishment of joint ventures. And in this respect, we make use of the IFU, the investment fund for developing countries, which is in a position to engage itself with equity capital in joint ventures. So all this is a deliberate effort on our side to accelerate the commercial cooperation between Denmark and India, and it seems to work very well.
How are the environmental factors taken into consideration?
Environment is one of the sectors we're looking at, and we have a series of activities already. As I mentioned, we are in a stage of discussing with ourselves and with India, involving very broad circles and all stakeholders in this process of formulating a new strategy for our cooperation in India. Environment is one of these sectors that we have to discuss, and so are health, agriculture, with a special emphasis on empowering women in agriculture. And well, we have to reduce the number of sectors. So the discussion is quite open at this stage. Concerning environment, it is extremely important to try to do things to clarify priorities and to map the actual situation as quickly as possible, because with the growth in Indian economy now, the risk of monumental mistakes in terms of environmental damage is quite clear. So in order to avoid the future costs of shortcuts or negative decisions now, an enlightened dialogue on preventing problems, doing the things in the sustainable way is extremely important. Environment is a cross-cutting aspect, like what I mentioned briefly about women, gender issues, poverty reduction. These are considerations that play a role in all activities.
Are most of your projects metropolitan, or are they also considered to be in the rural areas?
Most of it is rural, and it will stay like that. The very reason for staying in India with Danish development assistance, I mean, looking at India's performance and own capabilities, is that in spite of the emergence of the middle class and all the success in India, the reality is that there are hundreds of millions of very poor people. So India is a paradox, and that India, which is our partner, is the poor India. And that's where we will stay and concentrate our efforts. So it will be rural, poverty-oriented, and with a strong, as I said, with a strong social positive bias to the poorest people, and which again means that we will be doing a great effort to strengthen the role of women in India. No, this is in the sense of working. It's an official visit, and my wife is looking forward to accompany me, and I'm happy for that opportunity. But it is in the sense of working visit, seeing things, discussing issues. No. It's the way we do it with all our partner countries, and in that sense, it's part of a very friendly, very open, routine dialogue, which stimulates the cooperation.
Mr. Minister, India is a vast country. I can see that your projects are only concentrated in one part of the country, Tamil Nadu or something like that. Why is that so?
Well, that is not really the case. We are in a number of states, as a matter of fact, which is one of our problems. Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, as you mentioned, Orissa and Madhya Pradesh are all states where we have projects. And this geographical spread is one which we have to discuss as one of the problems.
Will you be visiting Agra as well?
Yes, in this beginning of the visit, we are looking forward to that opportunity. Well, one is that I'm very pleased that it was politically possible for me to reverse the decision that was taken before I took office of phasing out our presence in India. I thought that was a decision that needed to be taken up and discussed, because, as I mentioned before, if we define the main idea of Danish development assistance to fight poverty, we need to be present in India. Also to contribute to a success of the Indian experiment. It has a lot of symbolic value to the third world, what happens in India. So with our engagement in many third world countries, I saw it as is logical and a good idea to continue in India, but we will do it, as I mentioned, in a very carefully planned way, focusing on poverty reduction. So for that reason, we managed to get a new decision which makes it possible for us to continue the cooperation. This, I think, is also a handshake to the cultural ties and to the dialogue between our cultures, and certainly also I hope that this is seen by the Indian community in Denmark as a confirmation of the cooperation in general. So I hope this contributes, maybe just marginally, but does contribute to the well-being of the Indian community in Denmark.
Thank you very much, Minister.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.